Politics. I thought it was big stuff that was in the papers today. Let's turn our attention to the reshuffle that happened today in Canberra. Winners, losers, all the rest of it. You can interpret that whichever way you want. The big changes: Matthias Cormann is the Special Minister of State, Peter Dutton, Home Affairs, Michaelia Cash, Jobs and Innovation, Barnaby Joyce, out of our agriculture into infrastructure and transport. Kelly O'Dwyer has been added the Minister for Women, as well as, bad superannuation decisions. Also around the cabinet table, well, mentioned it before, but Michael Keegan, Bridget McKenzie, Dan Tehan, David Littleproud. Now, all these people carrying on, who is this guy? We've never heard of him. If he's a competent person who knows how to manage a department, that's actually his job. His job isn't to turn up on, Q&A and you remember who his name is. So let's see what happens. But Arthur Sinodinos is too crook. He's out. George Brandis is a toff who's going off to London. And Darren Chester looks like he's copped two in the back of the head from Barnaby Joyce because he's way too close to the Canberra Press Gallery and puts an awful lot of effort into his relationship with the media, hence why so many objective journalists were running an awful lot of stories bemoaning the removal of a man you probably haven't heard of. Here is what Darren Chester had to say today.
Politics is a tough game, and as the Prime Minister said today, he had to make some decisions, some tough decisions regarding the allocation of portfolios, and on this occasion I've missed out. So I don't particularly feel sorry for myself at all. I feel more privileged for the fact that I've had the opportunity over the past 20 months. I look forward now to redoubling my efforts here in the electorate of Gippsland. I intend to be in Parliament for many, many more years to come. I still have the enthusiasm, the passion and the determination to do a great job for the people of Gippsland. I've been blessed to have their support for several years now. I think I've won 4 elections. I look forward to contesting the next election in about 18 months' time.
No, I like Darren Chester. I bumped into him a few times around Canberra, but all that's but it's just, you're in for about 5 seconds and then it just becomes poly-drone. Just say, look, of course I'm disappointed. I didn't expect this to happen, but it has, and I respect the leader. Anyway, I'll be the best local member I can. See you in 4 years. Whatever. What do you think of the changes, especially around Christian Porter and a fairly obvious Conservative face? And in the big four of the Parliament now, the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, Treasurer and Attorney General, at least half of that room has some Conservative credentials.
I actually think it was quite a clever way it was done, because he hasn't upset any Liberal Party people in the party room who are the people who vote for the leader and make you Prime Minister.
Good point.
It is the Nationals who've taken the hits. They've taken 2, Mr Pitt and Darren Chester. It really isn't a dramatic shift at all, really. It's just a slight rearrangement around the thing, but I got to repeat, unless they get some good free enterprise policies in there, they're going to be having the same sort of trouble. But to have a few people like Porter, who has had the experience of government in Western Australia when pushing forward with policies that were assisting particularly small business, and that's a good move.
Well, if you were watching the show last week, Senator Hinch belled the cat that there's going to be quite a lot of law and order that might go into the Senate in the first little bit of next year. It's good to have a Conservative face on that, arguing those points, as well as somebody who understands how to argue those points in a state political area where law and order, the language of it is a lot different than federal law. Hugh, deck chairs on the Titanic or a genuine reshuffle at the end of?
I think I think Bronwyn's correct in that it's been quite smart the way he's done it. He's rewarded more the Conservative side, which then secures his leadership a bit more after all the speculation over many months that he wouldn't make it to Christmas. Well, he certainly has, and I remember heard people even talking more recently that he won't make it April. Well, I'm saying he's going to go to the next election the way things are going. So I think that was smart. Also, you mentioned with Porter, ex-West Australian Attorney General, etc., with the increased size of what will be the new super ministry for Home Affairs. I mean, the Attorney General is going to have a lot more say in a lot more things that are going on as that new agency or new department builds itself. So, no, I think it's been fairly smart. I mean, I know that people have been criticising it today about, oh, he's just rewarding those who are, who basically, have backed Turnbull up, and said, I don't know if I don't quite see that.
No, I don't know.
But I think that once again, this government, and I think firstly back to Porter, he's basically in a marginal seat, and he's going to be fighting tooth and nail to keep that seat. So that's going to be back of his head as well.
Well, also, I mean, a big point that you mentioned too, Western Australian representation at the front end of the government is pretty strong. You've got the Foreign Minister and Deputy Leader of the party, you've got the Finance Minister and Leader in the Senate, and now you've got the Attorney General as well in WA. All of that's great. Change their GST arrangements and then it'll actually matter in Western Australia, rather than just saying, geez, you're all so powerful, you all sit around the cabinet table, yet for some reason you can't change the system. Cormann goes to the Leader of the Senate. Before I get to Cormann and his future, what was Brandis like as a bloke to deal with? Because he seems like such a ponce to normal people watching it on telly. What was he like as a negotiator?
Oh, he didn't do much negotiating. He left it to others, and once you got to know him, first impressions weren't good, but they improved a bit after that. Everybody said in the Liberal Party, oh, that's just George, that's just the way he is. And he's an interesting character. Will he be better than Cormann as leader of the government? During question time, George was formidable. He was exceptional. You know, his way with words was just brilliant. Every now and then he could trot out a line, you'd sit there and go, wow, where did that come from? That's outstanding. And Matthias, English is his second language. He's meticulous with his English, as a matter of fact, but I don't think he's as dexterous with his language as George is. So I'm expecting there'll be a substantial change in style. But Matthias is ultimately pragmatic. He knows stuff's got to be done. And George, I don't think, always remembered that. So Matthias knows if he's got to get a motion through, he's got to get a bill up, an amendment agreed to, or something like that. He's like a machine. He really focuses on it, and very, very effective at it.
I remember just before the last election when he was bashing through those electoral reforms that in many ways was aimed at clearing out the end of the chamber that they need to get anything done.
Didn't work very well.
Is there any? Yeah, correct. Is there any residual on that crossbench that wants to give him a black eye because he's changed the system?
Well, you know, I'm the only crossbencher from that time, from that parliament left.
Wow.
With Nick gone, I'm the only one remaining out of that 8. Wow. That terrible 8 that Malcolm hated, and you know, we got lambasted like crazy. Jackie Lambie, Glenn Lazarus, Dio Wang, Ricky Muir, all gone.
Forgotten all about all those people.
Yeah. Well done, mate.
I'm the only one left.
You're the champ. You hold on.
And I don't have any grudge. I have great amount. I like Matthias. He's a decent guy to deal with, and he will stick to his word, which is more than can be said for all of his colleagues. But you don't fool around. You know, when he wants something, you know jolly well he's pretty determined.
Right, he's going to get in there. All right, it's fascinating.